This is a show cha-cha, with no particular niche, baby. It's always about hanging out. Maybe we'll laugh at some stuff, maybe we'll learn something new, but it's always about hanging out, me and you. Hi, hello, and welcome to That Thing with James. I'm your host, James, and today, I just want to say, knock 3 times on the Pope if you think he is dead. Yeah, thrice on the skull, pop, 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 with the holy hammer. That's a real thing. Well, was a real thing. Is it still a thing that's used? Yeah, they may or may not. The cardinals may or may not bash the dead Pope's skull in with a hammer. It's an old ritual. Speaking of old things, there's lots of weird old things in Catholicism. I was raised Catholic. I think that's what people say when they're Catholic and they just never go to church or anything and they just lapsed. I think that's what it's called too, a lapsed Catholic. I never signed any document saying I'm not Catholic anymore. I just don't really go, and I've got my own questions and beliefs. Regardless, there's no question about it that there are some really weird relics within Catholicism. I'm talking like a sacred foreskin or someone's severed skull. If you really look at it, Catholicism is metal. It's a very metal religion, or goth or metal, whichever you prefer. And there's some other pretty metal religions. There's one religion in India that is super metal. I believe they deal a lot with skulls. Word has it they may drink blood. I'm not sure what that's about. Hell, I might even end up covering it in the bonus episode. Speaking of bonus episodes, after I'm finished recording this one, I'm going to record my 100th bonus episode. Yeah, I've been doing bonus episodes for that long now. Bonus episode 100 comes out today, the day that this free episode comes out. And if you'd like to catch it, and the other 99 bonus episodes, you can do so by becoming a patron at patreon.com/ThatThingWithJames. $5 is the bare minimum entry. $5 will get you 30 days of access, unlimited access within those 30 days to all now 100 bonus episodes and some other content from other things I've done. There are also various tiers that offer various perks. But if you want more of this thing, and if you want the peace of mind that comes from helping to support an independent show, an independent artiste such as myself, you can get all of that at patreon.com/ThatThingWithJames. Yes, patreon.com/ThatThingWithJames. You can also find links, handles to my socials, to the show's email, to the show's subreddit, all written in the episode description. And if you're watching this on YouTube, those details will also, that's still in the episode description, but it's also popping up on the chyron at the bottom of the video. And for audio listeners, if you didn't know, there is a YouTube channel for this show. You can see, you can hear everything that you hear on audio, plus see my prattling pate saying the things that I'm saying right now. If you didn't know that, just go to YouTube and in the search bar type in That Thing with James and my channel will pop up. Well, that's all the business. I'm kind of excited. I've got 100 bonus episodes out now. Even though I'm about to record it after this episode, but that's beside the point. When this comes out, there will also be a 100th bonus episode. I record these on Sunday and release them on Friday, pending any weird business, any weird scheduling conflicts. I'm recording on Sunday, so what better day Yeah, I could be at Mass right now, but I'm not. Instead, I'm talking to you about some weird goth metal shit that the Catholics have. And there's historical reason for why Catholicism has these weird relics and shit like that, because they melded a lot with the other quote unquote pagan religions when they were, taking over the world, the Catholic Church, and well, the Catholic Holy Roman Empire. Like, for example, the Celtic cross is just your usual cross, the Jesus cross, the T, but it also has a circle where the cross meets, where the two lines meet. There's a circle around there. And that's called the Celtic cross. And the reason that's there is it was the church's way of, getting the pagan Celts under the umbrella of the Catholic Church, because there was a lot of reverence toward the sun. So just a circle, the symbol of a circle, was their symbol for their God. I may be misspeaking. I haven't read about this in a long, long time. It's just a framework I've been working under for a long time. And I did learn this in some history class or classes, but the circle was the sun that maybe they worshipped, maybe not. I know it was almost like Shinto, where everything has a soul, everything is conscious, everything is, holy and has life. In the Celtic religions. But the sun, as with so many religions, is held as high regard, as the top god. And the church said, well, actually, there's a bigger God, and it's the one true God. And I know that you guys are having difficulty understanding this, so we're just going to wrap your God up into our God, your God symbol into our God symbol, and we're going to create the Celtic cross, hence the cross with the circle on it. So, yeah, that's what happened. So let me pull up my the websites I pulled up for this episode, and we'll get into it. Just a second. Okay, here we go. So this is where it all started. I mentioned a holy hammer to someone, and they thought I was bullshitting, and I wasn't bullshitting. So before we get into the weird fucking relics, let's start with where my thought process started with this week's topic. There's this article on weirdcatholic.com, good name, title, "Are Dead Popes Still Hit on the Head with a Hammer?" Posted by Thomas McDonald on February 14th. Wait, isn't that Valentine's Day? 2019. Cardinal Kevin Farrell has been named Carmelengo. Following the death of a pope, the Carmelengo has the duty of, quote, safeguarding and administering the goods and temporal rights of the Holy See, unquote, during the interim. He manages the church until the election of the next pontiff, oversees the conclave, and gets a nifty scepter covered in red velvet. The Carmelengo, hopefully I'm saying that right, also verifies the passing of the Pope after the doctor has pronounced his death. In the past, this was done by tapping him being, well, the corpse of the now deceased or recently deceased Pope, tapping him on the head 3 times with a ceremonial hammer and calling his baptismal name in his native tongue. If he showed no response, the Carmelengo announced, "The Pope is dead," and took possession of his ceremonial ring, which was often smashed with the same hammer along with official seals. At the time, when death could be difficult to determine and burial alive was a real possibility, this was not a quaint custom but a genuine precaution. There's a persistent legend that Thomas A. Kempis was buried alive. Well, there were a lot of people buried alive. You may hear about places where there's a string coming out from where the body is buried, and that string leads up to a bell that is hanging next to the headstone. And the idea is that if a person is accidentally buried alive, they can pull on that string and ring the bell to let, passersby know, hey, I ain't dead yet. So you could dig them up. It was a real problem. It was probably last performed, this hammer ceremony, at the death of Pope St. John the 23rd. The Vatican has called this a quote-unquote myth when it was reported in The Guardian in 2003, but the tradition is fairly well attested. See, for example, The Visible Church by James Charles Noonan Jr. This example dates back to the mid-20th century. Example, there's a picture of a pretty nice-looking little hammer. It is made of ebony and gilded silver, and that looks like gold, not silver to me, but whatever. And it measures 22 by 9 by 2 centimeters from the Minnesota chapter of the Patrons of the Arts in the Vatican Museums. It ain't Catholic if it doesn't have a very long and elaborate name. Now, so that's the basis. That's what sent me off on, wait a second, there's all sorts of weird fucking relics, and I have seen some when I was in Italy. I went to many chapels and churches, and in them I saw old relics. I've even gone into catacombs. I think in Rome, I went into some catacombs, and the other people on my tour group were a little grossed out, but I thought it was dope as hell. It was super fucking metal, and I was all about it. Anyway, so here's this other article I just barely skimmed over before recording. So let's get into this, huh? This is at historycollection.com. The title of this article is The World's Grossest Catholic Relics, posted by Tim Flight on January 29th, 2019. Hold on a second. My head's really itchy. Just a second. All right, here we go. The world's grossest Catholic relics. Easy for me to say. In 2009, a famous tour came to London. Every day, for several weeks, people queued in their thousands, huddled into little groups and raising flimsy umbrellas against the old city's autumnal drizzle. Big Ben chimed, another hour gone. The sun began to retreat behind clouds, but still they waited, inching forward every so often, chattering in anticipation at their coming few minutes with the star of the show. In all, 100,000 people showed up. But were they there to see a pop star? The Queen? No. The bones of Teresa Lisieux, a French nun who died in 1897. Relics are physical objects directly connected to a saint, such as implements used to execute them, one of their belongings, or a piece of them. Catholics believe that God acts through relics, and it's a bit reductive, but we'll just keep reading. And so they form an important part of their faith, they being relics. However, no one ever specified which former belongings or parts of a saint's body are not holy. And so a host of strange dismemberments and items have surfaced since the relic's medieval heyday. Make sure you're not eating as you peruse this list of the world's 20 most disgusting Catholic relics, from Christ's foreskin to holy nipples. Oh, yeah, baby. And there are pictures along with this. In the video, I'll put the pictures up with the video. Audio listeners, you're missing out. Let's start here with number 20. The Basilica San Domenico in Siena has the severed head of the city's most famous saint, Catherine. Catherine of Siena, circa 1347 to 1380, was a truly astonishing woman. After forsaking her family's riches and the promise of a comfortable marriage to a nobleman, she joined the Dominican order and experienced mystical visions. She later became famous for her charitable work with the despised poor of Tuscany, and was such an intellectual heavyweight that she successfully bullied and intimidated the corrupt male clergy and undertook political duties unheard of for a 14th century woman. When she died of a stroke in 1380, mourning was understandably widespread, but her devotees weren't quite ready to say goodbye to her forever. You could make a fortune in the Middle Ages from the countless pilgrims wanting to visit tombs and relics. And so it is no surprise to learn that when she died in Rome, the city wanted to keep her there. Not to be defied, her followers from Siena managed to decapitate her displayed corpse, and hid Catherine's head in a bag. When searched by guards, they prayed to the late holy woman for protection, and her head miraculously disappeared from sight, only to rematerialize upon arriving in Siena, where it's been making tourists feel sick ever since. And it's a desiccated, mummified skull with a nun cowl on display. Right there. You can go see it today. You should check it out. Onward. Ooh, here's another gruesome picture. It looks like a desiccated hand. Is it? In a very, ornate, circular glass and gold case. And oh my goodness, it is. Number 19. The right hand of King Stephen on display in Budapest is nearly 1,000 years old. Stephen I of Hungary, circa 975 to 1038, was not only the first Steve to be king of Hungary, but Hungary's first king, period. Stephen endeared himself to Rome by devoting much of his reign to establishing an orthodox form of Catholicism amongst his subjects, and was named king by Pope Sylvester I botched that. I wanted to say Sylvester the cat, and I didn't get it out altogether. Was named king by Pope Sylvester II in the year 1001. He also found the time to defeat the surrounding nations in battle and quell discord amongst his own people. He was originally buried in, oh no, how the fuck am I supposed to say this? Szekesfehérvar. Where his original coffin still survives, and soon tales of miracles taking place at his sarcophagus spread far and wide. The tomb's popularity was such that Stephen's body had to be removed to an underground catacomb to protect it. Sometime during this relocation, his right hand was stolen by the man who was supposed to be guarding the body. Oh, that sneaky bastard. The missing hand was eventually recovered in 1084 and was put on display at, oh no, Szentjobb, Zentjobb, which means right hand in Hungarian, for everyone to enjoy. After various peregrinations, good word, around Europe due to war and political instability, the shriveled hand arrived in Budapest in 1771. That's a palindrome year, where it now lives in St. Stephen's Cathedral and enjoys an annual procession around the city. So they marched this desiccated, severed hand around the city. I'd go to see that. I would go to see that. Oh, goodness. What I do? I hit a button. Okay. All right. Oh, my God. I keep hitting buttons. Okay, here we go. We'll keep going. And here we have a pope kissing some glass and gold thing that seems to be containing something sort of a murky, dark red. What is it? It's number 18. The dried blood of Saint Januarius still liquefies 3 times a year. What? We know very little about Saint Januarius, died circa 305, bishop of Benevento, except that he was one of many early Christians executed by the bloodthirsty emperor Diocletian. Diocletian originally planned to feed him to bears, so he was lucky only to be imprisoned and beheaded. According to legend, a woman in Eusebia had the foresight to collect the blood gushing from his neck. Oh man, it's so metal. It's so metal. I love it. Had the foresight to collect the blood gushing from his neck in a couple of phials, pH aisles, which are now cherished relics in Naples, which purchased them in the 5th century. You would think the blood would be dry after over 1,700 years, right? Wrong. Sort of. The blood of Januarius is usually dry, but it miraculously liquefies every year on his 3 feast days. On these days above, the phials in their ornate reliquary are held aloft while prayers are recited in the Cathedral of Naples. Eventually, the crusty contents liquefy and bubble with great enthusiasm to the amazement of the congregation. The thrice annual miracle remains one of the most controversial events in the Catholic calendar. Despite many ingenious attempts to expose the miracle as a hoax, nothing has been determined. Since the cathedral has understandably no interest in giving the files up for scientific analysis. Is it a scam or not? I don't know. There are few things sure in life, and it is death, taxes, and that religions, all religions, have a lot of scams involved with them. Let's keep reading. I don't know what the fuck that is. Is that a heart? Is that like a is that a fucking heart? It's number 17. The chameleon, not chameleon, not chameleon. I think I fucked up that tune, but whatever. No, this is the Camillian. The chameleon order still have the heart of their founder, Saint Camillus. Camillus of Lelis, 1550 to 1614, started life as a very naughty boy. Standing at a whopping 6 feet 6 inches, very rare in the 16th century when people were generally much shorter, the short-tempered Camillus fought in the Venetian army and had a serious gambling problem. After betting and subsequently losing everything he owed, he experienced a religious conversion and in 1585 founded the Camillian Order of Male Nurses, which became the first military ambulance unit in history. Interesting. Camillus was in near constant ill health himself, with a particularly nasty leg wound deemed incurable by contemporary doctors, which gave him acute sympathy for the sick. Appropriately enough for a medical man, Camillus was subject to an autopsy after he died in 1614. But when his heart was removed, according to his biographer, quote, "It seemed a ruby, and it was so large that those who saw it admired it," unquote. And so it was decided to preserve the giant's ticker for everyone's enjoyment. After all, Camillus had always been praised for his big heart, so why not make the praise disgustingly literal? The heart was sent to Naples, where it was encased in a glorious reliquary. The heart now lives in Rome, but frequently goes on tour. Okay, and there's an image of number 16. The holy foreskin, baby. The holy baby's foreskin. 16. So many medieval churches claimed to own the foreskin of Jesus. Let's read that again. So many medieval churches claimed to own the foreskin of Jesus, yes, really, that specimens were subject to a taste test. Yes, I know about this one. Medieval theologians raged and spat at one another until they were red in the face about the question of whether Jesus was circumcised. On the one hand, he was Jewish, and so presumably underwent the mutilation. But then, he was the image of God, imago Dei, and so many countered that his body would have to be whole. Moreover, medieval Catholicism detested the Jewish people and wanted as few reminders of the Savior's Semitic origins as possible, and many thought it best to ignore the explicit testimony of the Gospel of Luke 2:22 about the whole event. But despite, or perhaps because of, the controversy, no fewer than 12 churches across Europe had foreskins on display that they said came from the Son of God's own phallus. These holy prepuces, or foreskins, fetched big money on the relics market, and the various churches claiming to have the real one invented fantastical legends about how they came to own this particular piece of history. Incredibly, competition amongst foreskin owners was so hot that some holy prepuces were verified as real by quote-unquote qualified persons who would chew them to determine their authenticity. Let's leave it there. And then the next one, I don't even know what the fuck I'm looking at, but it's pretty nasty looking. It's number 15. Saint Anthony of Padua's tongue. Oof. Is still on display in the Italian city near 800 years after he died. Although a native of Lisbon, Saint Anthony, 1195 to 1231, is most closely associated with the city of Padua in northern Italy, where he spent the final years of his short life. He actually came to Italy by accident after his ship was blown off course on its way back to Portugal from Morocco, where he had gone to preach to locals as a Franciscan friar. But once in Italy, he never looked back. After becoming an accomplished theologian, Anthony made his name unleashing inspirational sermons that won the Catholic Church many new members and set lapsed Catholics back on track. Maybe he would have given me a tongue lashing that would send me back to Mass. Hailed as a, quote, jewel case of the Bible, unquote, by none other than the Pope himself for his exquisite sermons, the relics of St. Anthony are not coincidental. He was canonized with astonishing rapidity within a year of dying from ergot poisoning. Hey, there's that thing I talked about in the last free episode, ergot, the stuff that is harvested and can be used to create LSD. And when his body was exhumed in 1263 to be reburied, his famous tongue was found to be wet, and the only part of his body yet to decompose. It was hailed as a miracle, removed to a reliquary, and whilst it is anything but moist these days, can be seen at the Basilica of St. Anthony. I wonder if that's one that I've seen. I wonder. And in an unexpected turn of events, I have decided that that's it for this free episode. If you want to hear the rest of these wild relics, check it out on this week's 100th bonus episode at patreon.com/ThatThingWithJames. Ooh, I need a little bit more coffee because I'm a slippery motherfucker. I sneaked that one on you, didn't I? Yeah. You can check out the rest of this stuff at patreon.com/ThatThingWithJames. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you stick around to hear about, we're at number 15, so we've got however many more to go. Number 15 out of 20. We only got through 5. We got some more relics to get through, and I'll get through it in the bonus episode. So, check it out. And for those of you who are already patrons, you're in for some good stuff. And also, thank you for being a patron. You rock. As for the rest of you, I hope to catch you next time. Bye.